How's everybody doing? We're going to do a little part two to this Bill Maher, Real Time with Bill Maher conversation. He was just bringing up some topics, some statistics about the LGBTQ community, specifically trans portion of the community. And if you haven't checked out part one, check it out. It's basically just the beginning of this video and me talking shit about it. So, check that one out. I'll put a link in the description. But we're going to get back into this. When we ended the first part, we were talking about a doctor that was transgender but had their own opinions on the situation. So, I'm just going to let it run from there. Like I say, watch part one and you'll be up to speed. I promise.
Dr. Erica Anderson is a prominent 71-year-old clinical psychologist who is herself transgender and who now says, I think it's gone too far. The LA Times summarizes, she's come to believe that some children identifying as trans are falling under the influence of their peers and social media. If you attend a small dinner party of typically very liberal upper-income Angelenos, it is not uncommon to hear parents who each have a trans kid having a conversation about that. What are the odds of that happening in Youngstown, Ohio? If this spike in trans children is all natural, why is it regional? Either Ohio is shaming them or California is creating them.
So, Bill Maher is left-wing, liberal. I don't even know what to call the individuals. Progressives, I'm not sure, because liberal didn't always mean this, I don't think. Democrats, my grandpa was a Democrat, a Democrat-y Democrat, one of the most intelligent man I've ever had a conversation with. He had some sense. I had never had a conversation with him concerning this subject. This hadn't gotten, this wasn't on the radar at all. Before he passed away. So I would love to get his take on this because he considered himself to be a yellow dog Democrat. Him and I used to have some long conversations because we had some differing views. Either way, I would love to see what he had to think about, what he had to say about the whole transgender thing. Anyway, Bill Maher brings up a good point here. He's on the left, was my point. He's not in an echo chamber with all the rest of us crazies that think a man has a penis, a woman has a vagina. It's pretty well determined at birth. You may have that percent of the short 1% that gets both. But we're talking about the vast majority of people. He's not necessarily one of the people that just think that's common sense, like the rest of us dummies. So it's interesting to hear his take on this because the left has shunned him because he does not hit the talking points like he's supposed to. But he brings up a great point. The surge in transgender declarations, affirmations, whatever it is, has skyrocketed. And it's very regional. It's skyrocketed in the big cities, San Francisco, LA, New York. Check it out. It's very easy to Google these things. I'm not going to say anything on here that I am not absolutely sure that I've done my due diligence on, because I'm not trying to smear anybody. I'm not on here with any agenda. I'm a single dad with 2 daughters, and they take up a vast majority of my time. The reason that I'm doing this is because I truly think that it is a serious issue that if we don't try to get some kind of handle on, I think that it's important, if you can add a voice of reason to this situation, that you do. I don't give a fuck about being canceled. You can't cancel me. So I'm just some guy. So I'm going to throw my 2 cents worth in. And Anyway, so if it is regional, if it is only popping up here and there, why is that? And he makes the point. Either California is creating them or Youngstown is whatever, not creating them, whatever. I think we know what's going on.
It's like that day we suddenly all needed bottled water all the time. If we can't admit that in certain enclaves there is some level of trendiness to the idea of being anything other than straight, then this is not a serious science-based discussion. It's a blow being struck in the culture wars using children as cannon fodder. I don't understand parents who won't let their 9-year-old walk to the corner without a helmet, an EpiPen, and a GPS tracker. And God forbid their lips touch dairy, but... But hormone blockers and genital surgery, fine.
No problem.
Talk about a nut allergy. I guess penises are gross now, but one might come in handy later on. And if you're a man who wants to experience life without a pair of balls, you do not have to get surgery. You can get married. I kid. Oh, we joke. And never forget, children are impressionable and very, very stupid. Kids don't know why mom drinks every day or why dad has 2 cell phones. Maybe the boy who thinks he's a girl is just gay. Or whatever Frasier was. Maybe the girl who hates girly stuff just needs to learn that being female doesn't mean you have to act like a Kardashian. Maybe childhood makes you sad sometimes, and there are other solutions besides hand me the dick saw.
Right? All of the problems that come with being an adolescent, growing up, being confused, being unsure, being uncomfortable, being all that shit. How is the leading answer? Chop your dick off. You're 7. You won't need it because you think you're a girl. You're fine. It doesn't even ever come in handy. Not even to piss with. How do they piss, by the way? If you know how a man that transitions into a woman urinates after they chop off their man vagina, let me know. I'm serious. I want to know.
And look, I'm sure the vast majority of parents do not take this lightly, and that it's very hard to know when something is real or just a phase. And I understand being trans is different. It's innate. But kids do also have phases. They're kids. It's all phases. The dinosaur phase, the Hello Kitty phase. One day they want to be an astronaut, the next day you can't get them to leave their room. Gender fluid, kids are fluid about everything. If kids knew what they wanted to be at age 8, the world would be filled with cowboys and princesses. I wanted to be a pirate. Thank God nobody took me seriously and scheduled me for eye removal and peg leg surgery.
Okay, so generally speaking, this whole situation is one that defies logic. I'm glad that he's got the voice he has and the platform he has, and he's got some sense. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter to me what you want to say you are, what you want to be, what you want to aspire to be. You want to be a boy, you want to be a girl. Who gives a shit? Who really cares? Because anybody that has a life has enough going on in their life to where whether you're a boy or a girl doesn't fucking matter to them. Whether you think you're a boy or a girl. But this situation is directly affecting such a large group of people. Not only just the kids who are being told at 4 and 5 that the reason they feel the way they feel is because they're not in the right body, because they are not born the right sex. If that's the case, it will be the same when that child is 10, when that young adult is 15, and when that adult is 18 and up. And they're not going to lose any portion of happiness or joy from their life from that point on. But children, and even if your kid is, if you have a boy and the boy's feminine and the boy wants to wear dresses and the boy, okay, great. Let the kid do what the fuck he wants. Don't go get his dick chopped off. Don't go give hormone blockers. As parents, we are stewards of our children. We are giving these children as a blessing. I'm a man of faith. I believe in God. What you believe in is really irrelevant. Because if you have children, you know that you believe in, you love them damn kids. Atheists love their kids. Devil worshippers love their kids. It's an innate thing. You want the best for your children. The best for your children, I promise you, in any circumstance, will not ever be to make a life-changing decision while they are young, while they are adolescents. Now, if they're about to die and you got to make a decision about some sort of life-changing... Now, I know a lot of transgender activists will say, well, it is life. Shit, not getting this surgery, kids are going to kill, do this and blah, blah, blah. Kids are doing that anyway. Kids were doing that when I was a kid. I didn't even know what transgender was back then. So there's always going to be a reason. And I'm not trying to justify anything. A depressed, sad kid, that sucks. But you will never find a long-term solution by making decisions in the now that are permanent, that are forever. Forever. You take your kid to a bad psychiatrist and they don't get it right. You take your kid to a bad taekwondo coach who's really not all that great. These are things, they happen, they suck, whatever. But to make a life-altering, changing decision, the child can't buy a pack of cigarettes. The child can't drink a beer. The child can't go to war. The child can't even go buy a fuck book. That's slang. A playboy, a penthouse, a hustler. Child can't do shit. Child can't even drive until they're 16. But we're talking seriously about gender affirming surgery, treatment, hormone blockers, puberty blockers. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years old, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 years old. We have a legal age of consent for a reason in this country. And while it may not be perfect, there's no broad system that's perfect. But the age of consent does have a lot of benefits. And it is proven to be fairly sensible. And it works. And we would picket in the streets. Do you imagine the amount of parents that would be out protesting if their kids could go buy a pack of cigarettes? Their 9-year-old could go buy a pack of cigarettes. Their 9-year-old could decide they wanted to sign up for the military and go be put on the front lines of the war. It would be chaos to know that their 10-year-old son could go to the bar, have a few shots, and get shit-faced. People will be like, that's crazy. That's dumb. Why are you even saying some dumb shit like that? But yet, we have normalized in this society the ability for a child to say, I'm not this, I'm that. And those words, that triggers all of the shit I just mentioned. Make it make sense. I appreciate y'all listening. Like the video. Subscribe to the channel. I'm going to be broadening out a little bit, doing a lot of these, but just some general life situations in this day and age that, I don't know. I'm not a spring chicken, but I'm not a boomer either. But I can't make a lot of this shit make sense. So help me make sense. It's an experiment, right? We're all doing one. I appreciate y'all. Check out the next part 1, part 2 of another video. Amir Omar, I reacted. I'm putting that up right after this, so you'll at least see part 1. I appreciate y'all.